Alright. This session was the first time that we actually had more players than just me and Thea. So it led to some fun opportunity. We had a friend of mine that was my GM for a few games come in as Gil. Then another friend of Thea's and I, who came in as Xantra. So, just like before, where Thea and Finn traveled, and they finally came back to the city. During this time, Thea had forgotten to take off her ring. Thus, she was in royal mood this entire time, as I like to say, so she had her pearl white hair and everything, which made a interesting encounter when she got back to the Sunken Pony. People kept an eye out, those that would know about the Elven royal family, of why someone like that would come to a small little tavern like the Sunken Pony when there's a much fancier one in town and all that. It led to a little bit of commotion, especially with the speaking to the tavern owner just like she normally would without doing so. Led to some fun experience there. And with the introduction of new players, a lot more happened than was written down. It gave them a chance to roleplay with each other. At the time that she got there, we had Gil already show up in the tavern and take part in something that Thea saw when she first went into the Sunken Pony. A couple of dwarves would set up a drinking contest between one of them and a human. They'd drink with the human, and whoever would lose would have to pay. But anytime the human would need to pee or do anything like that, the dwarves that were sitting around would switch places with each other, knowing that most humans don't notice much of a difference between dwarves. Granted, there were a few of them that stood out and, different hair colors and stuff like that, but they'd save that trade till the human was good and drunk and didn't realize that it was a different dwarf that he was speaking to than before. But what the other players didn't know is that Gil actually wasn't human. He was actually a Yuan-Ti pureblood, so thus had, immunity to poison and thus alcohol. In his backstory, he was actually raised by dwarves, so we had some fun there, that he was kind of set up to be a spy for the Yuan-Ti about the dwarves, like how a lot of Yuan-Ti purebloods are to be, set up to be spies, to be people in high power, and that's kind of what me and him were going for with that. So unlike most of the other characters where it's the hero's journey, that they're heroes and my job as the DM is to kind of corrupt them and have them be, have them overcome this to be the heroes. It was kind of the opposite for this, where it was, he was a little bit more villainous and I was trying to make him noble. Especially what was fun is that the rest of the players didn't know, and we'd give looks to each other every once in a while when he'd say something that it's like, we both know you have dark vision, or something like that, where it's, luckily none of the other players really caught on or knew enough about the game to catch on. Both Thea and Xantra were really new at the time. So as they did that, Gil, of course, kind of swindled the dwarves back, being able to catch on that they were trying to switch places and actually be able to outdrink them and all that, which would be fun. And of course, at the time that the white pearl-haired elf Thea showed up, this drew his attention, and we kind of had Gil as a curious kind of guy that was, you know, we had him as very trying to understand things all the time and gain as much knowledge as possible of how people act and what they do and all that stuff. So he tried to start a conversation, and as this was happening, that's when we interrupted with Xantra showing up. And Xantra being a tall blue dragonborn who walked into the tavern and got the attention of everyone else, because dragonborn are a little rarer in this area of the world, and Xantra's player, as he introduced himself and saying where he was, said an interesting phrase that helped build my world a little bit more. Of when they asked where he's from, he said, "From way back east, from the rolling hills of Naliba." So, thus, Naliba got created because newish world, that's how I rolled, so. And it led to a lot of more fun with that, kind of going, why are they rolling hills, and figuring out that it would be a desert, and kind of setting it up as kind of this hair desert of my world, and have it be where a lot of the Dragonborn are, and kind of made another campaign about that didn't last as long, but led to world building. But enough of that for now. It's not much else really happened this session. Just kind of a talk between the players of what all was going on. Them kind of doing the awkward, we know we're all players here and let's form a party kind of thing. Wasn't really my best effort in getting the party to be a party, but it worked out, and we kind of brushed aside that and had the party look for quests on the quest board and find one that interested them, that was about a fallen meteor, and was asked about it from the local blacksmith, Greg Stronghammer, taken from a D&D podcast, character of the same name, but kind of erased, plopped him into my world like I usually do. So I had a bit of fun with that, but that's all that they did in that session of just kind of introducing people to him, get a feel of what everyone was about, and kind of get a little bit of things started. So I definitely learned after I had to work on getting the party to be a party a little better and everything like that. I think we slowly came up with the backstories more or less a few times later. Because even that time, I'm not sure how much we had about Gil being raised by the dwarves, or that he was a spy. I think we had him raised by dwarves at that point, but not the UNT spy planned out, and all the notes about the dwarves that we come up with. But yeah, that was that session.